I'll start by saying for the very last session and part of today that we've had a day of serious discussions, right? But that we wouldn't take ourselves too seriously, that's why we have the next and the last speaker come up. He is Australian by origin, but we consider him Estonian by now. He used to be a techie, but then went soft or rogue. I'll leave it for him to explain. And these days in the world of entertainment. So he established and started Comedy Estonia and really kicked off the stand-up comedy scene here. And I think we will really need him to come and help us wrap up this day, because I'll tell you what, if I was preparing for this session, today's conference last night, I was trying to even Google jokes about cybersecurity and information security. There are none. So, Louis, come help us with that.
Thank you. Okay. I'm not using this one. Hello, everybody. Thank you. If Mr. Martin had the graveyard shift after lunch, I don't know what this is right now. So thank you very much. My name is Louis Zezeran. I am Australian. I am one of these third country party actors that everyone's talking about. I am in no way European. Do not believe what Eurovision tells you. I am not European. My job is stand-up comedian. That is what I do. However, it is true that I have a master's of computer science, and about 10 or 11 years ago, I was a consultant on the Estonian X-Road system, helping them out. I have written code, I have written connectors on the Estonian X-Road system, but not for a long time, and I think everybody is happy about that. I saw already today, I've been sitting here all day watching very interesting talks. Already this morning, I was sitting here, one gentleman leaned over to me. He asked me if I knew the Wi-Fi code. I said, no, I don't. And then I leaned back and said, see what great cybersecurity we have here. He then moved one seat across. That was great. Unfortunately, some of the people here today couldn't arrive, as we know, due to delayed flights. We have, in our small northern capital here, terrible flight connections. It's very hard to get a connection. We live in the cold north here. It's like in Game of Thrones being north of the wall. And just like, look, the Estonians are very much like the White Walkers from Game of Thrones, that both of them have recently got their own airline. So it's very new. Look, I will still take the customer service of the Night King over Nordica any day. Much friendlier than my experiences there. Our good host, Siim, has been fantastic today, and he gave you a small introduction at the start. You had to say the Estonian word, tere. That was beautiful. You had to talk to each other. And it got me to think about, why did Estonians pioneer cybersecurity, or why did they pioneer cyber, online, IT? Why did they make all of it? Why can I do my taxes online? I do my banking online. I vote. Oh, no, I don't vote. Whoops, did I let that one slip? I look at my health records online. This is all about, why did Estonians do this? Because they don't want to talk to each other. Simple as that. So this morning, when you all had to say hello and tere to each other, that wasn't for the foreigners, that was for the Estonians in the room. Guys, you can talk to each other, it's fine, okay? The foreigners are here, act normal, all right? Act normal. I want to give you what is it like here in this small country? Because 1.3 million people, that's a bit weird. And we get stuff done, but in a very unique Estonian way. I have a great example. I read an article in the Estonian newspaper about our immigration and refugee worries throughout Europe. And the article said 1/3 of Estonian people would not want to live next door to an immigrant. All right, I was a bit concerned there for a while. But then I remembered that actually 99% of Estonians don't want to live next door to anybody at all. That is their version of tolerance. That's good. That is them being tolerant. It's great. That's what I like. I do believe that Estonia, one of the great benefits that Estonia will have in the coming sort of 5 to 10 years is multiculturalism. That I do believe in the power of multiculturalism, and that, because goddamn, this country is white. Like really, like white like a bedsheet, like so white. Like so white that Donald Trump's new slogan could be, "Make America Estonia again." So I do believe there is some value that all of our collaboration and sharing and different ideas can bring here. I'm fascinated to be in this room because many of you, you're diplomats, you work for the government, you're very high-level people, and you have certain ways of talking. And we were talking about third nation actors and foreign parties and all this. Let's just say it. There is a country that is doing all this stuff to us. They start with the letter R, and it ends with Soviet Union. Let's say it's Russia. Russia's hacking us. I've heard it once today. Maybe I wasn't listening. Why? The next question you might ask, what does small Estonia bring? Why has Estonia excelled? And why have they focused on IT, cyber, online? Why have they become this powerhouse of information technology? Because what the hell else are they going to do around here? There's literally nothing else that we can do. This country is the size of the Netherlands, but only has 1.3 million people in it. That's insane to me. How can we make a statement on the world stage? We're going to build a wall with Latvia, make Latvia pay or something. Like, we can't. They took the opportunity and most of you in the room, 1.3 million people is a suburb. Don't you German, French get annoyed that the 1.3 million people get a president and they had their currency and borders and a seat at the EU? That's a suburb of Frankfurt. Come on. But still we do. That's what it means for us. Because I am a resident here, I'm still a temporary resident, but I have to renew my visa every few years. But I get an ID card, and I can use that ID card, and I love my ID card. I can sign documents digitally. So if I have to make a contract with I work in the entertainment industry, I have to book a venue. Great, we make a contract. They send that to me as a PDF or a Word document. I digitally sign it by sticking my ID card in the computer, send it back, they sign it, brilliant. Never had to talk to them, right? It's great. Never had to see them or anything. And it gets weird when I go to foreign countries and like, yes, we will make the contract now. Here it is. I'm like, what is this dead tree in front of me? What, a pen? What do I do with this thing? You mean on the paper? What? Why would you? It's, and I think that there's something about the Estonians, they wanted it. You could change the society, well, one, because the society is small. You don't have so many different people arguing about it. Sometimes when I deal with Americans, I have to deal with American artists and management, maybe in stand-up comedy, and they say, okay, well, you need to give us a check. I'm like, what's a check? We never had checks here. We just skipped that part completely. That was never a thing that we had to do. I can just sign a document digitally, and you can sign any document, PDF, Word document. I've even started signing my cat photos. Any document. There is no way the Russian hackers will manipulate the cuteness of my kitty cat. It has to be something to do with the small country size, that somehow we could get together and make it happen quickly. And that, I don't know, there were some arguments, but not a lot of arguments. For example, in my country, in Australia, we don't have a national ID card. Our ID card is our driver's license, which now that I think about it, sounds stupid. And if you don't have a driver's license, how do you get into a bar? You still have to go to the roads authority and get a non-driver's driver's license. That's so dumb now I think about it. And every few years in my country, in Australia, they pose it, oh, we're going to make a national ID card, great, you'll get all the services, everything is good. And Australians freak out. It blows their mind. Oh, the government's got all my data. Oh, they're looking at everything. They collect the privacy. Why aren't they looking at all my stuff? Oh, I can't stand it anymore. Excuse me while I post a picture of my avocado toast on Snapchat in the morning. I'll post the date, the time, the place, everywhere I do. It's all going on social media. But the government can't have all that data here. Why? That idea of trust that I'm going to try and bring it back to in a moment, this idea of trust we've talked about today. Trust doesn't exist. Well, it only exists as much as our emotions exist. I can't grab onto trust. I can't buy trust. I can't sell trust. I can't make trust. It's something that only exists as chemicals in our brain. And that's why I think we have such weird emotional reactions to it. In my country, in Australia, we have already solved the problems of cybersecurity. We've already solved, and the solution is very, very simple: have unbearably slow internet speeds. Great, the Russians can't get in. They can't do it. They're getting frustrated. Because even now, as I'm standing here, the brightest minds throughout European diplomacy talking about how do we connect, how do we collaborate. In Australia, at this very moment, we have a referendum going on. We want to vote on same-sex marriage. I'm for it, but whatever, that's cool. It's up to the individual people. We have a referendum with paper ballots. Oh my God. And it's being postal vote. We have to get a bit of paper and send it into the government so some person can count. What year is this? How is this still happening? I may as well send a raven to Queen Cersei in King's Landing. Oh, it's got my official stamp on it. That means I did it. I think that certainly we live in a bubble here in Estonia, and being amongst all of you has certainly made me realize how much of a bubble we live in, that all these online systems feel so normal and so natural to us all these days. And I thought that was a great thing, because this postal vote that we have in Australia, what, of course, everybody is doing is get the postal vote, and they say, look at me, I'm voting yes, yeah, and they post that to the social media. The problem is that the ballot paper has a unique barcode on it that uniquely identifies you in that bit of paper, and they've all been posting that online. There's even the offline solutions still have security holes. We are the problem with this system, not necessarily the system. Because even Asim earlier today was talking quite a lot about, oh, well, we've got the ID card problem. We've identified a theoretical problem with this system that possibly under a unique set of very specific circumstances, hackers could use to, no, I've got it online here. Here's my barcode, everybody. Why are we not up in arms about that? Why? And whose fault is that? Is that the avocado toast eating hipsters in the eastern suburbs of Sydney posting to social media? Or is that the fault of the Electoral Commission for not realizing that everything we do these days we post to social media? Whose fault is that? I don't know. We have to look at where is the blame and which of these human beings is the human being. I should move on. Who am I going to go at next? I thought it was very fascinating to watch today's different panels, the speakers. And in this field of IT and cybersecurity, this is one of the only fields where we can have the brightest minds in Europe, the brightest minds in the world, heads of diplomacy, stand on this stage and say, oh yeah, I learned most of this from my teenager. Openly admitting that. I run government policy, but I got a lot of ideas from my son. And that's totally fine. That's still in this field. You can't have that as the minister for roads doesn't get up here and say, well, I was testing out the new roads. I've got this great new car. It's got a big engine we've just put in it. Got some new tires. Well, it's a bit of a beta compound. We're not exactly sure how these tires are going to work. And most of all, I learned all of this from a 12-year-old. How could this? But it's fine. That's what we do here. I want to close out on the idea of trust, which has seemed to be a recurring topic throughout today. We trust the systems that we use. I trust that when I sign my cat photo, that signing system is going to get to the other person and that they can verify that signature. They can work out that it's authentic. And there's all parts of that system. I have no idea. There's a chip with a SIM card, sticking it in a computer. I just bought that ID card reader from the supermarket. You're seeing every bit of this chain has potential weak links. And how far are we going to go to secure every single bit from the edge of my finger till it goes down through the computer to the plastic, through the telephone lines, through the whole telco system to the other person, and it gets to their eyes. How do we secure that end to end? And I've always been fascinated by this idea of trust. I think that's what got me into computer science in the first place. I think there's a very relevant example right now with Kaspersky antivirus and the way that this Russian antivirus company, and they have now been banned from several US government departments. And we don't know, is Kaspersky working for the FSB? Do they have the malice code in there? They've done some source code reviews, sure, but did we find everything? Is there intentional backdoors that are just a slip of the integer or a small overflow that can be used? You may never find that. Or is code just being injected after it's built? There's so many steps that you can never know. And I got to think, why don't we trust? We trust Semantic. I trust that Microsoft Bitdefender thing that comes with my Windows, but I don't trust Kaspersky. Basically, we don't trust Kaspersky because they have a Russian name. That's it. If they called their software All American Uncle Sam Apple Pie Yeehaw Antivirus, that would still be on the computers. They could be in Moscow, but it's Kaspersky. I wondered that for years. Why? And now they're saying that, oh, we're going to remove the Kaspersky from all the government computers. Okay, cool, guys. How are you going to remove it? With the uninstall program that Kaspersky provides? And they're like, oh no, but we've got the scanners, we've got the malware scanners, we're going to get in there, we're going to remove it, we're going to scan it, and then we're going to know. Oh, you can suddenly scan for their vulnerabilities. Why couldn't you scan when it was on the computer? How do you know that computer's clean? Oh, wipe it. How do you know it didn't infect another computer? You don't know. It's already on the system. So the importance of trust, I don't have a conclusion about trust in the end, by the way. I will just end, you've been very, very patient with me, so thank you. And I will end on this one final note with trust. How do you know that 10 years ago, this third country actor didn't insert malice code into the Estonian X-Road system? You don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.